and welcome to Box, the football talk show brought to you by Sportology TV. I'm Ali Drew and this is my co-star Uni.
Guys, welcome to Box episode number 2. Last week we had none other than DT from AFTV talk about his beloved Arsenal. And guys, he did not hold back. So make sure you watch that. The link will be somewhere. We'll put the link somewhere for you guys. We also had Sky Sports and Talk Sports, Ade Oladipo, talk about Liverpool's success, a team that he's been watching since he was a kid, gone through that bad period of the 30 years, not winning anything, and now they're champions again. But today, I felt like we needed to cover the best team in England, the team that's either loved or hated, a team that when you go on social media, that's all they talk about, is none other than Manchester United. So we thought today we'd get a special guest on, someone who's been covering Man United for many years on the YouTube scene, worked for a lot of other companies, but interviewed one man that I'm very jealous of, and he's just right there, Eric Cantona. None other than Adam McKola. Adam, how are you doing, sir?
I'm all good, thank you very much, bro. Thank you very much for having me, guys, as well. Yeah, man, Eric's the king. But yeah, you've not done too badly. What are you on about, man? To use like AI to do it, everyone.
Adam, before we actually talk about anything, just talk to me about Eric the King. You know, when you got to meet him, what was he like?
All right, so it went in 2 parts, that did. So basically, the first time with Eric, me and Steve went to the Lowry Theatre to see him speak on stage. Like he was getting questioned by someone or something. So we went to that. And then afterwards, we thought, let's go for a drink at the hotel down the road where surely Eric Cantona is staying. And who knows, he might walk in and we might see him and get to meet him. That's proper, a little bit weird, isn't it? But we went and did it anyway. And as we were there, we saw him come in, but we lost our heads. And we started chatting to him and that. I must have hugged him about 4 times. And I was just talking to him, like, just thanks for everything, turned me into like a fan and all this. And he never lost that aura. He never lost it at all. And from there, like after that, I think he started following Full-Time Devils when he made an Instagram account. And he only followed like 10 people or like 11 people or something. It was like Jesus's disciples, and he followed us here. And I thought, oh my days, this is crazy. And then obviously it's probably like someone running his account for him. But that kind of created this dialogue between us as a channel and us guys and him. And then he released a book. Remember when like he was doing all these doodles in a book? He released that book and we thought, let's try a chance here and see if we can work around the build up to that book and get an interview with him. And it happened, you know what I mean? And he accepted it. And on the day, there was 3 people that had got an interview with him. And it was like the BBC, the Guardian, and us. And I was thinking, what the hell are we doing here? Like, how have we managed to do this? And he come in, and he must have been doing something else. And he was like, oh, I need to have some food and a little drink. And we were like, just do whatever you want. And he remembered us from when we kind of stalked him, because the interview was at the same hotel, weirdly enough. So he remembered us from then, and he kind of just came out. He had his food. He came out with his glass of wine. I had a Guinness. He had a beer, and we were just chilling before the interview, just talking with Eric Cantona, having a drink and that. And then the interview turned into that anyway.
Okay.
And it was just incredible. So from like supposing to have 10, 15 minutes with him, we ended up having like an hour just chilling with him. Only 15 minutes of it was in front of camera, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it was nuts. And he never, you know, when they say don't meet your heroes, like Cantona, you can meet him because he doesn't lose that aura, and he's still very. You'd think someone like that's going to be arrogant in it, but he still understands what he means to people. So he's very open to you, like if you're a nutcase like me and you're hugging him every time and that.
Well, sorry to start with the talk of the game at the weekend, the FA Cup semi-final.
Let's talk about Cantona again.
Against Chelsea. It wasn't the performance or the result United wanted. What are your thoughts on it, and what are your thoughts on the sort of team selection for that game?
I was gutted when I seen the team. I was really gutted. I loved the FA Cup. I've loved it since like I was a kid. I remember when you used to watch the bird's eye view of the buses driving into Wembley and all that. Like I've always loved the FA Cup, and a final against Arsenal, a chance to level up again with them in the overall FA Cup honours. It was a big chance, and I thought with the run we were on, we should have went for it. But I understand as well, Champions League is very important to United, and whilst we want to win a trophy, Van Gaal never saved his job when he won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if we get Champions League football, I think that is better in the long term. But there's no reason why we couldn't have had both. And I thought the team selection was poor. If you're gonna start Daniel James, if you're gonna take Martial out of the team and play two up top almost, why not start Igalo?
Yeah.
Like that didn't make sense to me. There was a few things that didn't make sense, and I just feel like we gave them the momentum. And I don't actually think Chelsea played that well. I think tactically they were well drilled, but on the day they didn't actually look like battering us. The first goal was a good run by Giroud, and De Gea should have saved it. The second one, De Gea definitely should have saved it. And once that's happened, the game's gone. So yeah, I think we just gave it to them really. And that was the main thing. You can lose against Chelsea. Like losing against Chelsea, I'm used to it. It's happened over the years. But in that manner, in a Wembley game, was disappointing.
Adam, I just want to talk about what you just said there. David De Gea. Much talked about this season, much talked about in the last couple of weeks, especially after the restart. Just talk to me about De Gea. It just seems like he's been there for United. He's been there through thick and thin. When we were absolute crap, he was there. He was saving us, getting Player of the Year every year. What's happened to him? What do you think's happened to him? Because it's been such a quick decline that some people don't know what's actually gone wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about it because he's done so much for us. So you feel this kind of sense of loyalty towards him, and like it kind of tugs at your heartstrings a little bit. But if you're being ruthless about things, he needs to get dropped. I don't think you turn your back on him completely, because I still think there's a goalkeeper in there. Like he'll make mistakes, you'll know this. He'll make mistakes, and then he'll make this world-class save after, and you're thinking, are you the same guy that just flapped it into his net a minute ago? Like, I don't understand how he can go from one extreme to the other, but he's not been the same since that World Cup. Since the game against Portugal, he's just not been the same. And you're reading things about players not even trusting him anymore at United, and that's a cheek for one, because if anyone should be trusted, especially like you said over the years, like he single-handedly kept us in the top half of the table at times. Like it's hard, but he needs to be challenged more. I don't think Romero really challenges him. I think he's too comfortable as a number two. Yeah. Yes, he's a good number two to have, but I think he's so comfortable as a number two that David De Gea is so comfortable as a number one. He doesn't feel like he's challenged for his spot. And therefore, you may be seeing this kind of reaction from him. The last time you seen him like this was at the start of his United career, and you could still see there was something there to be worked on. But at the moment, his head just looks down. He looks down. And you just feel sorry for him. You feel sorry for him. I think he will be dropped. If it was me, I'd pick him and stick by him. But that's just probably my heart overruling my head.
Adam, just another one. Our defence. And it's always going to be a question mark, because when you pay £80 million for a defender, the whole world's going to look at you. Going to look at your defence. And unless you pull out what Liverpool have done with Van Dijk this year, there's always going to be that bar which you've got to try to get to. There's been a lot of question marks about Harry Maguire. There's been a lot of question marks about Lindelof since the restart as well. Just talk to me about them two, especially. They've been United centre-backs for this season. Talk to me about them two, especially.
I think they're both... Let's start from here. So at the start of the season, has our defence improved? The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
A big part of that has been Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, because them two have pretty much been the only options that we've had. Eric Bailly's been injured for a lot. I think Eric Bailly is our best defender. I think you saw what you got from Eric Bailly at the weekend, though. He's our best defender up until he got injured and had to go off. Yeah. And I know it's a head injury, but that's just typical Eric Bailly. So you look at what they've done, and I think, yes, combined with Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw's improvement, Brandon Williams, they've improved our defence. But if you're asking me whether Harry Maguire is an elite defender, the answer is no. Not at this moment in time. I think he has the potential to be that, but I'm starting to worry about what's happening with him. Like, you can't not. And I think at times since the restart, Lindelof's been better than him. Like, everyone seems to point the finger at Lindelof, and when you hear people talk about it in the press, because Maguire's our captain and he cost 80 million, it's kind of like, oh, who's going to partner Harry Maguire? But to have Harry Maguire's performances suggested that should be the case. I don't think they have been. So I feel like we do have a few issues there. But pure stats, our defence hasn't been that bad. Like, we've kept 13 clean sheets in the last 20 games. But as fans, we know that that's probably a little bit false. Like, our defensive stats are good, but our defence isn't that good. Yeah. So I think Maguire needs to improve. But we're kind of stuck in the fact that we've given him the armband. He's £80 million. And he is our best centre-half. But even then, if Bailly's fit, I'll pick Bailly over him. So it is a bit of a conundrum at the back at the moment. Is the performance of the defenders affecting the goalkeeper, or is the performance of the goalkeeper affecting the defenders, or is it a combination of just everything? Like, it's hard to say, innit? Like, it's really hard to say.
Since the restart, United have had an amazing run of form. Obviously, taking out the FA Cup semi-final this weekend, it has been a great run of form. Do you think that they can continue this for the remaining games of the season?
Yes, definitely, especially with our first 11. You look at our first 11, that front five: Pogba, Bruno, Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. I don't think, like, if that started against Chelsea, we don't see that performance. But then we maybe see a dip off in the game against West Ham. So I think we saw that performance against Chelsea because we favoured this game more. So as long as that doesn't have a detrimental effect on them, I think we'll see hopefully a return to form. But even before then, we were kind of starting games very, very slowly. Against Sheffield United, we started slowly. Bournemouth, they scored first. Villa, we started slowly. So we started slowly in a few games that we've won this year. Since the restart. It feels like it's been a year. I think we will continue. But that shows that we haven't got the depth. We changed the team against Chelsea, against Norwich in the Cup. Our performance suffered massively. I think if we revert back to our strongest 11 or anything close to that, then I think we'll be all right against West Ham. But I'm setting myself up for a David Moyes shocker.
You know what, Adam? Say that we played 3 games in a week. The players did naturally look leggy. Like, Bruno looked absolutely leggy. He didn't look like he could play any longer. We should have taken him off a lot longer beforehand. But this team, if we were to play in a normal season where there's a Saturday and there's a Wednesday, does it have it to challenge for the league, or with some additional signings? Do you feel like a team like this, with not many injuries, like Liverpool have had many injuries this year, if you get that year in you, where you don't have many injuries to your key players, and you're playing Saturday and Wednesday, do you feel like this team can challenge for the title?
With about 4 signings, yes. But that also relies on Maguire not playing like he is currently and playing to the Maguire that we signed. That relies on Wan-Bissaka refinding his feet again, De Gea. Like, we thought De Gea wasn't a problem. Like, when Solskjaer come in, we thought, we need to sort out central mid. We need to get this guy right wing. No one ever thought we need to sort out a goalkeeper. Now, all of a sudden, we're thinking, oh my God, we need a goalkeeper. So I do think with 3-4 signings, we can get to a level where we should expect to be challenging. Because that's all that's shown, is that we've got no quality. Imagine if you're able to take off Rashford and play Grealish, or Bruno and play Grealish, or something like that. Like, it's so much better for the team. You're not losing that, and you're given the ability. But when you mention those games, I think it also comes into play that we've not really had a pre-season.
Yeah, true.
So, when we're using McTominay and Fred, and this goes for the rest of the Prem as well, I know that, but McTominay and Fred are coming in and they're kind of trying to gain their match fitness at the moment. It's like they're in the middle of a pre-season. Yeah. So I think we're going to probably see those players peak at the start of the next campaign or in the Europa League, in terms of regaining their feet. Because the only players who've been playing have been that starting 11 in the Premier League. And that's what you've kind of seen. Daniel James, he looked unfit the other day. Yeah. Right. He's not played any football. And there's a lot of players like that.
There's some good young players who have impressed this season. You've got, Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams. They've come through the ranks at United. How important do you think that that's going to be for the next few seasons, that they've got such impressive young players coming up and through their ranks?
Yeah, I think it's going to be important because obviously, especially now when you're in this kind of COVID era where you don't know how many fans you're going to be allowed back when they are back, and all those kind of things, and they've got to give some TV money back. So obviously United aren't going to be as affected as other clubs, but we are still going to be affected. So being able to bring youth is going to be important, but it's always important for a club like Manchester United anyway. When we've been successful, we've accompanied our best youth players with signings from around like the world or whatever. And those youth players are usually there to challenge. Like you look at Luke Shaw's performances these years, like you mentioned Brandon Williams. Luke Shaw, I think, has been pushed on by Brandon coming through. Mason Greenwood coming through, scoring goals. I think he's one of the best talents I've ever seen come through for Manchester United. He's probably the best I've seen as a teenager since Wayne Rooney. And then we've even got like the likes of Hannibal Medbury coming through, who's a little bit younger. Teddy Mengi, who's a centre half who should be coming through. Axel Tuanzebe is one that I've been really disappointed for because he's had an injury. Yeah. Come back from Villa, having helped them get promoted, comes back ready to play for United. He's selected to play against Liverpool at home, goes down with an injury, hasn't been since then. And like when you look at the shakiness we've had in our defence, that's a position that could have possibly opened up for another one of our younger players. So yeah, I think it's massively important to be able to bring through younger players, because it also then means that instead of having to spend like 250 million on a fullback and a centre mid, you can just spend all of that on a top quality player to improve your midfield, let's say, and bring a fullback through in the ranks. It works out better. So yeah, United's youth team's looking a lot better at the moment than it has done in a while. I don't want to hype up the kid, but Mason Greenwood's been phenomenal. What year do you expect him to pick up the Ballon d'Or? He's lucky he got called off this year. He's unlucky rather. How many is the question? Yeah, I think with Mason Greenwood. Now, just jokes aside, and I think actually he could possibly win one of them, to be fair. But jokes aside, like, I can't remember someone just takes so comfortably to first team football, like, and looks so like, it doesn't even look like he's playing to the peak of his performance as well. He goes through games sometimes, he picks up the ball and scores, and he's playing against fully grown men, sticking them on their arse and smashing it in the net. Like, the guy is incredible, but we've got to be patient with him as well. And the good thing is we've got a good team at the moment. Do you remember when Januzaj broke through? And now I don't think Januzaj was anywhere near as good as Greenwood, but he broke through and we had a shit team and all the focus was on him. Now the focus is on Pogba and Bruno and Martial and Rashford. Greenwood can just come through in the side. And if we bring in Jadon Sancho as well, being able to rotate him in and out of that front three is going to be amazing. So, yeah, is a different kind of talent. It's a generational talent. You know what? Talking to a United fan, we can't leave out that person that you just mentioned there, Paul Pogba. There's a lot of people that seem to want him to leave for whatever reason, but when he's on the pitch, there's some performances that he pulls out that are just world class. His levels above most of our midfielders that we have out there. Bruno's come in. He's our best player. Yeah, without a doubt. Bruno's come in and done his thing for United, got United ticking, got the attacking flow going on. But Pogba, when you look at him as an individual, do you feel like he's without a doubt just miles above what we've got? I don't think it's miles now, which is probably testament to Ali and the way he's kind of improved our team. But I do think he's our best player. Yeah. And I find it incredible, like, some people talk about Bruno now, and I think Bruno deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. But Pogba was doing that. Pogba was doing that. There was one year where he was most goals, most assists, most this, most that. Like, he was just number one in every single stat, and he shouldn't be. Like, he's the kind of player that should be creating for others and providing for others. And he was expected to be everything for us. And now we've got a functional team around him. You'll get to see the best of Paul Pogba. And I think we are. He's a world-class talent. And we've kind of benefited from the coronavirus thing with like Juventus and Real Madrid now being pulled out of the market. Hopefully he signs a new deal. Because I have no doubt he wants to be here. He wants to be successful at United. Do you think Pogba wants to be seen as someone that came back to United for a world record fee and then left and didn't really do much? I think he wants to be a success here. I just don't think we ever looked like going in that direction until recently, and he's got a team around him. So yeah, when people said, "Oh, we need to build a team around Pogba," it was never that. You need to build a team that functions with or without him.
Yeah.
And we've done that now. And if you can add Pogba into that mix, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I think we'll see the best of it next year as well.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a lot of stick when he first came in. You know, he said himself he needed time to get it working, the plan that he had working. What effect do you think now he's had? Is the run of success, do you think, due to him?
A lot of it is. You have to. The environment that is created for the players is a lot better. You feel like there's a better team spirit around it. I know it's not just important to smile all the time, but players are playing. They look happy. The style of football is seemingly better. Not every game, but most of the time. And he's improved the squad. Like, he's got rid of players that he had to, even if it meant a little bit of short-term pain. He's brought in the right kind of players. He's made the right signings. I don't think he's wasted a penny in terms of his transfer dealings. So he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. And then even if you look at the reaction from the likes of Martial, Rashford to him, the only player that I think's gone backwards under him is David De Gea. And you'd argue, is that his fault? I don't know. He obviously had a change in goalkeeper coach, but I don't think a goalkeeper coach stops you from slapping the ball in your own net. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done. The environment's a lot better. Even as fans going to games, watching games, I look forward to these games now. There's a time where I just dreaded everything, like Van Gaal, Mourinho. There were periods where you never really wanted to go to a game. And now, even if you've lost or drawn, you're thinking, all right, we can win this, no matter who it's against, even if we're the underdog. So, yeah, Ollie deserves all the credit for that. I've had doubts about him. I'm not going to pretend that I think I've thought he was the man from the start and, all that stuff. I have my doubts about him. I still have some doubts about him, but he deserves the time. He's got us into this position, and he deserves to build on that. He deserves to be back in the market and see where that can take us, because if we get 3-4 signings, the team is then good enough. So now it's up to him. Can he push us on to that next level? And he deserves the opportunity to try and do that.
Adam, I'm a subscriber to the Stretford Paddock, obviously full-time Devils. I watch a lot of your stuff because I'm a United fan myself, so I watch a lot of the stuff myself. You talk a lot about the transfer shows, people like Jadon, Sancho, somebody like Grealish, all these names are linked to United. But yourself, who would you want in the club in the summer? Which signings would you want, or what positions would you want them in?
Those two names, I 100% want them both. I think Jadon Sancho is the most obvious United signing of the summer. He wants to leave Germany. He wants to come back to England. United need a right winger. The number 7 shirt's free. We're probably the only one that can afford him, and we'll pay his wages. Like, it's an absolute no-brainer if ever I've seen one. So Jadon Sancho for me would be the one. I think you need someone like Jack Grealish. He's made for a platform like Old Trafford, I think. He's got that swagger. I think if you put him into a team with the likes of Rashford and Martial and Greenwood, Pogba, Bruno, I think you get to see a different side of Jack Grealish as well. We definitely need a defensive midfielder, but I don't think we're going to get one this summer. But I would definitely be in the market for one in the next 12 months, because Matic isn't going to last forever. And then the defence needs to be sorted. Sort out that defence. Look, Jones, Smalling, Rojo, they're probably all going to go on permanent deals. I'd like to see Twanzebe continue to be given a chance when his injuries are sorted out, hopefully. But we need some quality in there. We need another one. So I'd bring in another centre-half as well. And that should be easy to do. Like, the Jadon Sancho deal, all it is how much we're going to pay. To get that sorted, Jack Grealish, like, he wants to leave Villa. They're going to go down. Make it happen. Like, there's only one, like, and then if you get them two done early and you're just looking around the market for a centre-half or whatever, like, I think City are picking up Ake for like 35 million. There's going to be a few deals around there. So I don't see why we can't make that happen this summer. and be one of those teams that capitalises on other teams needing the money.
I was going to actually ask you about that. Nathan Ake to Man City. Seems like, City are interested. Would that be someone that interests you to come to United?
I don't know. I don't think it improves our first 11.
Okay.
I don't think he's better than Axel Tuanzebe.
Okay.
So, yes, he'd be a good squad player, but I think we need someone that just says, I'm starting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm starting. If Victor Lindelof's your third choice centre-half, or I don't think that's a bad thing to have. So, I think we need someone that just says, I'm starting.
Do you think that the gap to, Liverpool and Man City, do you think that that's a gap that can be closed for next season? Do you think that with the transfers that you're talking about, that gap can be closed?
When you look at some of the games where we've dropped points this season, like some of them have been draws, some of them have been defeat. Like we lost against Bournemouth 1-0, Everton 1-0. We've dropped points in some stupid games, and our performances in the bigger games actually haven't been that bad. So you'd like to think, if we improve in certain areas, we didn't have Bruno for the whole season, which I think if we did, you'd already see us probably have about 6 or 8 points more than we currently do. So I think we can close the gap, maybe not all the way. We'd probably be relying on Liverpool maybe dropping off a little bit. I think the gap to City can be closed. What's that at the moment? Like 15 points or something like that? I know they're going to improve and they're going to buy players, but I think that can be closed. But with Liverpool, you're relying on them not being as good as well. Surely they can't be as relentless as that. Like they've dropped 2 points in 2 years or something stupid like that. Like they've been incredibly relentless with everything, and I'm hoping that this league title just takes the edge off them a little bit, and you can then close that gap a little bit. But it's a big gap to close in one summer. But with the right signings, you don't know. I don't think it's ever that far away. I mean, look at Liverpool. Before they signed Alisson and Van Dijk, I don't think anyone expected them to win the league or be close to winning the league, really. Everyone thought City would walk it this year as well. And they've done really well to close that gap. So, but then again, they've got the best manager in the league. So, different thing, isn't it?
Adam, just want to talk about tomorrow's game. They should be out by tomorrow, so just want to talk about the game against West Ham. With West Ham, we played them many times in the past, and they're always inconsistent against us. Either they give you a really, really good game, or we just do them over 3-4-0 or whatever else. How do you see tomorrow going? Because they're not mathematically relegated. They're not safe yet. Sorry, they're not mathematically safe yet. How do you see them playing out against us?
They're not safe, but I think that win against Watford was a big one for them. And you kind of hope it can go two ways. That it can take the edge off them, so they kind of like mentally they know they're safe, or they think they're safe, so they just relax. Or it can go the other way around, where they're so relaxed that they just play good football and they have nothing to lose, and they go for it. So I am. What a horrible story it would be if David Moyes came and upset the apple cart. Look, a point takes us into the top 4 at the end of the day. We need to be beating West Ham, though. We can't be going to the Leicester on the final day needing to win that. And I think we should have enough to beat them. But Mikel Antonio, I think he looks like he's in form, and he'd be thinking to himself, I cannot wait to play against Maguire and Lindelof tomorrow. And if De Gea's in net, I'm going to shoot at him every second I can get. So you'd be looking at why they'd be feeling confident of playing Man United. And we've got to make sure, I think, like you say, if we get the early goal, I think they'll be in for a hiding. But if that doesn't come, United will get nervier, and they've got nothing to lose.
Actually, just final question before we let you go. Chelsea are linked, and they're the only team that seem to be linked to Kai Havertz. Bayern Munich, right winger, left winger, plays up, quite easy. You can play up top. And then we're linked to Sancho. I've been reading quite a few things online about Sancho versus Havertz, and there seems to be like this little trend going on that people like to compare these two big players in Bundesliga. It seems like Havertz is a great deal at 70 million. What do you make of Chelsea's sort of dealing in the transfer window so far, and especially with this signing of Havertz that could actually happen?
I'm actually glad they've shown that they're moving away, because I think they were linked with Sancho quite a lot, and that kind of hints at that maybe, you know they can't get Jadon Sancho. But as for the business they've done, Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, they're fantastic signings. You know what I mean? You can't say they're not. The only thing is, you'd probably argue, are they in the areas that they need that improvement in? That's the only thing. But then there's a lot of the summer to go. They've not spent money for a fair few windows, so they'll be able to spend a little bit more. Roman seems to be happy and reinvested at the club again, so there'll be competition. They may say the same about Alia, but I personally don't feel like under Lampard there will be a serious threat next season to anything that we should be trying to do.
Fair enough.
Like I just don't see it. I think he's been blessed by the fact that you've got people like Kante and all these kind of guys, experienced guys. People talk about Chelsea that they've had a team of under 23s out all season. They've got some fantastic players in that squad. Olivier Giroud, line of the line's not that bad, you know what I mean? So I think it's overlooked a little bit, but I'll be happy if they stick with him next year. But the signings they're making are pretty good. Not going to lie about that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Adam. It's been great to talk to you.
No worries. Thank you for having us.
And fingers crossed for tomorrow night's game, the last 2 remaining games.
Oh no, yeah, I think 4 points will do the job, especially if we get 3 against West Ham. I'm hoping we beat West Ham, Liverpool beat Chelsea, and United and Leicester play out for a draw and send Chelsea out of the top 4 to the last game of the season.
Planned it all.
Who knows? Hopefully. Probably be us finishing 5th now, I said that.
Oh, don't say that. Adam, thank you so much for today. It's been a pleasure.
Nice one.
And hopefully we get to speak to you in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely give me a shout, man. I'm always happy to help.
Wicked. Adam McKola,
Thank you
so much. Guys, that was Adam McKola from the Stretford Paddock talking about everything to do with Manchester United. But stay tuned. We've got a Newcastle fan, Jonny from Newcastle Fan TV. We'll be talking everything to do with Newcastle season. We'll be talking whether Steve Bruce should be staying, whether he should be going, what job he's done this season. Is a Saudi takeover ever going to happen? What's going on with that? And much, much more. So make sure you guys stay tuned for part 2.
Our second guest on today's show is joining us. Is one of the 8 creators from the incredibly popular Newcastle Fans TV. We are delighted to be joined by Jonny Greenwood. Jonny, how are you doing?
I'm very good, Ali. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Jonny, pleasure to have you on the show. We spoke to Adam McKola just a little while ago regarding Manchester United and the season that they've had. So we thought, why not get a Newcastle fan over, talk about Newcastle season. It's been all right. It's been okay, to be honest. Give me your sort of thoughts on the season that's happened. There's a lot of question marks at the start of the season in regards to Steve Bruce. So just give me your overview on the season that you guys have just gone through.
Yeah, I think it's very much better than expected. Obviously, last season, Rafa Benitez left, and I think 99% of Newcastle fans were disappointed, to say the least. I think it was a bit of an understatement that he wasn't kept on and couldn't sign a new deal. But Steve Bruce has done the minimum, really. He's done the job that Newcastle fans have asked for from him, and that is to stay in the division. I think he has surprised a lot of Newcastle fans in the sense that he can actually work with the players that he was given, because I don't think any of the players apparently he bought over the summer have done okay. And at the end of the day, Steve Bruce wasn't the most popular, but he is doing the job. And I know the last couple of performances haven't been brilliant, but you'd have to say it's been probably better than expected, is probably the best way I can put it.
Well, we have to talk about the big takeover, whether it's going to happen, whether it's not. What is actually happening with that? Because haven't Saudi Arabia just banned the Premier League over there? Is that putting a spanner in the works?
I think it's more to do with TV rights and beIN Sport, who obviously are a massive, massive company, and they're not very happy that the Saudis have been allegedly streaming Premier League matches from their platform. The Premier League have always stuck by beIN, which obviously they go into because they pay a lot of money. I think they pay about £500 million for those rights, and you can just see in the UK, I think they're worth billions of pounds in the UK, so it is huge. At the minute where we stand is that Newcastle are waiting for the Premier League to make a decision. and it's whether to approve this proposed takeover or to reject it. Now, Richard Masters in the last few weeks has basically come out with that it will be concluded shortly, and that's all he's pretty much saying on the matter. From what you hear locally and nationally, is that the buyers are very, very confident that this deal will go through. It's obviously been run from Amanda Staveley, who runs PCP Capital Partners, and she has fellow investors from the Reuben Brothers and PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund from Saudi Arabia, and they're worth around about £260 billion, which would probably make Newcastle the richest club in the world, which is very, very strange to hear, but nothing's been confirmed yet. Hopefully, there's a running joke at Newcastle now, they'll be concluded in a few days, and a few days has turned into a few weeks, and a few weeks has turned into a few months. So hopefully it'll be done in a few days.
Is it a takeover you want to see? Are you keen for it as a fan?
I am personally. I can't speak for every fan, but I am personally. I think with Mike Ashley, there's just no ambition at the football club. There's been some terrible decisions over the years. Obviously, with some managers that he's appointed. Obviously, the sacking of Kevin Keegan. Obviously, the way he left. Obviously, he resigned rather than him sacking him. But it just didn't start very well with Mike Ashley, and he's always made unpopular decisions. I don't think he's had the best people around him. But yeah, I think all Newcastle fans are ready for some sort of takeover. I think basically what they're saying is anything can be better than Mike Ashley. Just anything can be better in the sense of ambition, because Newcastle flirted with Europe, I think it was something like 10 or 11 out of the last 13 years before Mike Ashley came in. That's now been once in the last 13 years since Mike Ashley owned the club. So I would like the takeover, and I'm sure. I think the Newcastle United Supporters Trust ran a poll. I think it was 97% of fans wanted this takeover to happen. So it's that adamant on Tyneside.
Jonny, I just wanted to talk about what this would do for your club. You talked about it just there, where it could make you guys the richest club in the world, which is absolute crazy. But if it was to come into fruition and this deal was to take place, what changes would you like to see? Already the name of Pochettino comes to mind. There's a lot of rumours of maybe Pochettino being approached and Steve Bruce getting the sack. What changes would you like to see if you had this barrel of money that the Saudis will be bringing?
It's more off the pitch matters. I think Newcastle fans in particular will want sorted before anything more in terms of a manager, because our training ground is atrocious. It's really, really bad. Through the years, we're using basically bins as people to have like a recovery session, which is just crazy for a Premier League club. The stadium needs a lot of infrastructure. It's a fantastic stadium when you look from it in the city, but inside it's just rusty. It needs a lot of work doing it inside. Obviously, you've touched about the manager, Steve Bruce. Obviously, is the manager at the minute. I think Newcastle fans are worried. What would Steve Bruce like with a lot of money potentially? Will these new investors want their own man? So you kind of have to worry for Steve Bruce in that sense. I think it's very split, 50-50 down the middle, whether to give Steve Bruce a season or to bring in somebody else. You've seen with other teams like Manchester City and Chelsea, where Ranieri and Mark Hughes were more or less given about 12 to 18 months, nothing more than that. And then a Mancini or a Mourinho's come in and it made the club more successful. I think hand on heart, if someone said to me, do you think Steve Bruce can do that? I'd probably have to say no when you look at his track record. Okay. Can I see a Pochettino come in? I don't know. It's the brutal, honest answer. I wouldn't say I'm got a mystic ball, but unless Pochettino's offered a lot of money, I don't think he's going to come to Newcastle, because he's had the biggest clubs in the world, apparently after him. I think Real Madrid have always had a rumour. Manchester United, obviously, you've had Adam on earlier. So you'd have to say, potentially, that it would have to take a lot of persuading for a Pochettino to come in. But then there's obviously the rumours with Rafa Benitez as well. So I can still see Steve Bruce being Newcastle manager next season, at least for the short term, because obviously with everything that's happened coronavirus-wise. But football's crazy and Newcastle's even crazier, so who knows?
And on the pitch, what players have sort of particularly impressed you this season? Obviously, there's been a lot of talk of Saint-Maximin, but who else has sort of impressed you, and what is his performance? Have you been impressed with him?
Well, you've mentioned Saint-Maximin, and he's been absolutely brilliant towards the back end of the season, in particular from after lockdown. He's been absolutely fantastic form, and away teams just don't know how to handle him at times. He has been outstanding at times. I think other players in particular, you have to look at our defence. Our defence has contributed a lot of goals for Newcastle. I I think one of the probably outstanding defenders has been Federico Fernandez, the centre-half in Newcastle, who's been brilliant. He's our only fit centre-half, really, at the minute. And we've got obviously one game left against Liverpool, which I'm sure he's looking forward to. But no, I would probably say Fernandez has been an outstanding. Martin Dubravka, the goalkeeper for Newcastle, who's just been incredible. I think he's made the most saves this season in the Premier League out of every other goalkeeper. So he just shows his worth. But yeah, I think obviously our defence has pretty much kept us in the league, because if you look at our attacking players, I don't think they've given us 10 goals really. So if it wasn't for our defence, I think Newcastle would be in the Championship, unfortunately.
Talking about that then, the summer transfer window is going to be coming up very soon, end of July. I think we're about a week away from it opening up. If this Saudi deal does come through, what positions would you like strengthened, and is there any names that spring to mind?
Obviously, going forward is the biggest issue. But it depends on what the budget is, isn't it? Because if you might have a fantastic shopping list, but if you're not given the money to buy those players, then it is difficult. We desperately need a new striker, but we paid £40 million on Joe Linton, and Newcastle fans aren't too sure what position he is. So that tells you how confident we are with him. Just trying to think of other players. Potentially another centre midfielder, just to kind of give us a little bit more options, because obviously Matty Longstaff is a player that seems to be on his way out of the football club. But definitely going forward. Names, if I was just trying to think, I like Ben Rama from Brentford. If Brentford weren't promoted, I think he'd be a good option. Zaha, Grealish, they're two players that obviously linked with Manchester United. They're not happy. Can Newcastle tempt them money-wise? I don't think they can tempt them in terms of club size, because I think it would be a sideways move. I think I'm honest enough to say that. But if there's an ambition and if there's a plan of, right, we want to take Newcastle from here to here, would they be tempted? Who knows? But there's some good. It's just, again, it depends. It really just depends. If Newcastle don't get this takeover, none of those players will come to Tyneside. It'll be I don't know, probably players from Italy, players from France, players from Spain, maybe that are cheap options. But no, it'd be it's going to be interesting regardless, anyway.
And do you think that for next season, in order to move up the table, do you think that the takeover is needed? Is that the only way you can see, or is there another way where you could see that you can potentially move up, or is it sort of a be all and end all that you need that takeover?
I think we do need that takeover, Ali. I think the Premier League's becoming more competitive. You look at the three teams that could potentially be promoted. Obviously, Leeds are already promoted. You're looking West Brom, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Fulham. At the minute, they've probably got stronger squads than Newcastle. Definitely likes of Brentford, Fulham, they probably do. I don't know. I think I would have to say that we would need a takeover. It would just boost the city in general. It really would. It's, Newcastle, obviously, it's a fantastic city, I'm going to say that. But there's a lot of people on low disposable incomes in the area. And I think if you look at Manchester City's model, you need to kind of copy that almost to an extent. If you can, not in terms of the playing squad or anything like that, but just in terms of everything they've done for the city in general. They've made Manchester more appealing. I know Manchester United are a massive, massive football club, but now there's two massive clubs in Manchester now. It's become more and more attractive. If Newcastle can make it the place to be in the north of England, then it'd be fantastic. It's only ourselves and Leeds, really, that now are going to be Premier League clubs from anywhere from Glasgow to Lancashire. Yeah. So Newcastle could make it their own with a little bit of ambition, a little bit of strategies. Like if they can get some good strategies in place and they can get the best young players going, well, you want to be here because this is the hotbed of the north of football. You don't want to be anywhere else. You don't want to be in Manchester. You don't want to be in Liverpool. You don't want to be in London. We're going to look after you here because there's nobody else around here. We're going to make you the best of the best. But it is a long-term vision. That's just my own vision of what I'd like to see Newcastle be. But to answer your question, the takeover is desperately needed.
In the long term, it has proven to be successful. You look at Man City, they got taken over by the Qataris and look where they are now. You look at Chelsea, Roman Abramovich came all them seasons ago and he built a team, and now Chelsea are top 4 team. They won the league only 3 seasons ago. So it seems like even though people might not like it, especially in Europe, when a wealthy owner comes over and takes over a team and gives them that infrastructure to go forward and go into the top 4, that is proved to be a successful model.
It has. You're quite right. I think the model that we're probably looking at to start with is a Leicester or a Wolves.
Yeah.
You know, can you improve the training ground? Can you improve the infrastructure around the ground? And then work on the playing squad? With Manchester City and Chelsea, I think Chelsea more so, it was, can we get the best players and can we get them now? Because there was no such thing as financial fair play. Some people would argue there's no financial fair play when you see Manchester City's decision last week. So Newcastle could potentially go in and go, right, we'll spend all this money because we'll just say UEFA, we're going to do it soon or we're going to do it later. Look, I don't know. Newcastle potentially, I'd like them to look at Leicester and Wolves first before they look at Manchester City and Chelsea. I don't think you can win a league title or win any sort of trophy as quickly as Manchester City and Chelsea have without spending a lot of money and getting away with it. Obviously, Manchester City took them 3 years to win a trophy from when they were bought by obviously Sheikh Mansour. For Chelsea, it was more or less instantly, wasn't it? It was probably a year, wasn't it, when Mourinho won the league? So it's not going to happen with Newcastle straight away. I think Newcastle fans are realistic enough to know that. But it wouldn't surprise me if it could take maybe 5 to 7 years, in my personal opinion. But if you've got some very rich people and they want instant success, who knows? But I'll be happy with an FA Cup. I really would. I'll take an FA Cup. Like Newcastle fans. Like I went to West Brom away in the 5th round. There was 5,000 Newcastle fans on a Tuesday night. It was on the telly as well. And Newcastle fans were just wanting that cup run. And obviously, coronavirus has obviously played a massive part in football going forward. And obviously, no fans were allowed to watch the Man City game live. And I'm not saying we're going to beat Man City, but you're thinking quarter-final at home in front of the cameras. Who knows? But I'll take an FA Cup in the next 5 years, to be honest. And I think a lot of the older Newcastle fans would probably say the same.
Just before we let you go, you spoke about it there, about your fan base, and I've been home and away for the club that I support, and I know Newcastle fans are well known for travelling with their team. How devastating is it that these couple of years under Mike Ashley, I've seen the frustration with other fans that it's been so frustrating, but yet your core support is really strong still?
Some people call it stupidity, but yeah, look, our core support has been brilliant for years. It's been really, really good for years. This season, obviously, it's been a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for, been a bit deflating in terms of at the start of the season. People just had enough. Like as soon as obviously when Rafa left, attendance went down. I think there was under 40,000 against Brighton, which is just unheard of at Newcastle. I think you'd be surprised there's under 48, 49,000 at Newcastle normally. Why have we got that core support? Because it is, football is the city. It is everything in the city. And it's the same down the road at Sunderland. You could go into any shop in Newcastle more or less, and if there's a black and white top or if there's been a match or there's been some news, it's the talking point of the day. It really is. And that's what everybody obsesses over. It's unique in a way, I think. You can, obviously, everyone will say that they talk about their club. It is. People say it's like a religion. It is a religion up here. It really is. The away support is fanatical. It really is, and you always get a lot of fans when we go to away games. They're going to say, "Oh, your support was like this. It was amazing. It was this. You're really loud." But we want the team to match us, if that makes sense. If the team or the club could match us in terms of going home and away, it'd be absolutely brilliant. As in winning on the pitch, for example, that would be good. But no, if the support will never leave, it won't. There might be worse times, but that core support will not leave Newcastle because it is the main talking point of the city.
Cool. Well,
thank you so much for joining us. It's been really interesting talking to you about Newcastle. I said you were one of 8 from Newcastle Fans TV. I'm just interested. Do you always agree? Do you always have the same sort of opinions? No, definitely not. Definitely not. If you see our group chat, definitely not. But that's what makes us. That's what sport and football's all about. Yeah, of course it does. We've got. I think there's 8 of us, obviously. There's me and Kyle are kind of, because we're both in the same area. We're both kind of agree with each other. But also we've got Lee, we've got Isha, we've got Rob, who are very different. But that's what makes us unique, I suppose. It works. Jonny, thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for
coming on.
No.
If the takeover does happen, we will want somebody on again. One of you guys on.
Yeah, just let us know.
for sure, we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we'll get you guys back on. Thank you very much.
Thanks so
Thanks
much.
again, guys. See you later.
Speak
Bye.
soon. Bye. Episode 2, we had some great guests on, but make sure you stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you get all the notifications for any videos we have coming out. See you next time. Stay safe.